not even need Bowers game for me.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special Kickstarter review. And today I'm very excited to check out Gunshi. This is from Grandeur. It's for 2 players. It's going to take about 30 to 60 minutes to play, and it's for ages 14 plus. And Gunshi aims to be a head-to-head 2-player old school style feeling game, like a Go, a chess, a Yogi, something like that. This game has absolutely no luck involved as far as I can tell, and it is all about strategy. So in this game, you're going to be playing as the Gunshi, which is the big head honcho that gives out all the orders, and then the people on the battlefield take those orders. And you're going to put out those orders, but they don't happen instantaneously. They will happen actually on your next turn. But that's just the tip of the iceberg for what's the interesting aspects of strategy in this game, because the units you place out, you decide. The position in which they're going to be facing, you decide. The cards you want to play, the fences you want to put down, you decide. How you want to play the game, how you want to win the game, you decide. Because unlike a lot of old school style games like your chess and checkers like that, there's actually 2 ways to win this game. You can invade the other person's battlefield and get all the way to the end of it, and you can do that with 3 separate units, then you're going to win the game. Or, what I really stinking like, is you're going to have a Shogun, a secret Shogun on the battlefield. You'll decide at the beginning of the game, and if that person is killed, then the other team immediately wins, which adds a whole extra layer to the game of how do you want to treat your Shogun. Do you want to make him one of the infantry who has an extra armor that's going to keep them alive, or do you want to make them an archer? Do you want to make them a cavalry so they'll be able to move fast around the board? Well, there's 3 units in the game. Each of them has their own unique quirk. In particular, the infantry I really do like because they have the armor, but for the sake of the endgame condition, if you can get one of your infantry with their armor to the other side of the board, that is getting 2 of the 3 people over to the other side that you need. And there's just strategy kind of leaking out of this game in all sorts of different facets. But let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. This is the review. First thing I want to mention is this is the prototype version of the game that I have here. Well, it works perfectly fine and it looks good. I have no issues with it. Some things might change from the time it gets to me to the time it gets to you, so I did want to mention that. First, on the con side, this is a 2-player game, restricted player count, and this is a 2-player game that rewards numerous playthroughs of the game because there's lots of different little elements and nuances of strategy in this game, and for me personally, that's just not something that happens too often. I don't hit 2-player games that often because my wife doesn't like to play games with me that much, and definitely not over and over and over again. So that is another con where if that's not you don't play 2-player routinely, or you don't get games routinely to the table, I don't think this is going to be one that's probably going to be in your wheelhouse. Another con that I have in this game, which is similar to chess and Go and all those, which is if you are here and this person is here, you're going to win more times than not. Now, that is somewhat negated with that Shogun, because that Shogun is a total wild card, which I'll tell you in the pros, I really do like that aspect of the game, the Shogun aspect, but we'll save that for the pros. Continuing on with the cons, when you're first learning the game, it can be a bit overwhelming because they've thrown in a lot of little details and a lot of things in the game that make sense, but when you're first learning the game and you're trying to suck in all the strategy and suck in the game, it can be overwhelming, as can the player board, which has lots of iconography and symbology, as do the cards. Most of the cards are very pretty straightforward, but when you're first looking at the board, it is going to be overwhelming. You can expect your first game to probably take between an hour and 20 minutes. That being said, once you get going, you'll probably be able to knock these out in about 30 minutes. Any other cons that I have with the game? Not really. There's not too many holes to poke in this game, because moving on to the pros, this is a dang clean game, and as far as I can tell, there is no luck in this game whatsoever. You decide what cards you start with, you decide the order of the cards that you're going to be picking up, you decide the units that you're going to put on the board, where you put your fences. You decide how you're going to use your strategic thing. Do you want to use the chain lightning ability, which will make your orders go in faster? And I love that. It works very well thematically. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Everything in this game, for the most part, feels thematic, which is outstanding, and especially in a game that could have felt very abstract. It does not feel abstract. I really like how the different units work. I think that's a really cool addition, and I love the variable ways you can win the game, because maybe you just want to sneak your way over there and you get your first unit over to the other side, then you sneak another and you use another cavalry. Well, that's great. You're one person away from winning the game. However, you've just spent 8 strategy points that are now no longer on the board, which means it's going to be a lot harder to get your dude over there. But then there's also the Shogun aspect of the game, which is so stinking cool, because you might be like, man, I am getting crushed. I'm going to lose. And then your whole game plan is just going to be like, you know what? We're just going to start wildly swinging at everything, and hopefully we can take out that Shogun, because if we can take out that Shogun, we can win the game lickety-split. And that there is what makes the game, for me, just so much better than a lot of the other 2-player dueling games that I play. The different ways to play the game, the cool different units, even though I would like to see another unit mixed in there potentially in the future. I think that'd be spectacular. I want to give a shout out to the player reference card, which I wish it was bigger, so that's a con. I wish this had more information on it in particular, but it's nice that it's there, because I've played some games like this that don't have those when they really should have those. The rules were pretty well laid out, even though I would say there's like one part at the end that they hope they moved to the beginning, but that's neither here nor there. It wasn't a terribly difficult game to learn, and at face value, it's not a terribly difficult game. It's the kind of game where once you've played once or twice, you should have really no problems teaching the game, which is always a good thing. And in the end, I'm going to compare it to my game of the month currently, which is Team 3 at an 8.5. For me personally, this is not a game that I would put 8.5 or higher, but that's because I'm not the target market here. I don't routinely get 2-player games to the table, and I don't play games over and over and over again, even though with a game like this or with Mage Wars, I wish I did. However, if you're in the market for those style games and you like to play games over and over and over again, you have a very cold gaming collection, in particular with 2-player games, I think this is an absolutely spectacular one, and I can almost slap a Bauer's Best seal on it, because I see this question asked an awful lot on the Board Game Group and on Board Game Geek. What are some of the games that have absolutely no luck in them? And this one fits that bill. I think a lot of people are really going to stink and like this game. I hope it gets a very nice version when it does come out, like a nice elegant is the word I'm looking for, because it feels like an elegant game. It feels like an old school game, but it still has new school game mechanisms, which make it just a great game for anybody to try, but in particular for the people who are going to get it to the table a lot more. So there you go. That is Gunshi from Grandor. It's on Kickstarter right now or very, very soon. Be sure to check out that Kickstarter link down below. Tell them Bauer's Game Corner sent you. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. Also consider supporting the Patreon down below, because I'm currently unemployed and wearing a cat shirt in the basement, homeschooling my kids. And in the comments below, let me know what is your favorite game of all time with no luck at all. I don't know why I grew up there. See, and there we go. There's not nearly that many games that come to the top of my mind, especially in the hobby game genre, without going to the abstract strategy game. Once you go to the abstract strategy game, you got a whole boatload of them. This game is very unique, though, whereas the theme actually comes across, which is nice. I'm going to go with Puerto Rico. I think that's just the go-to. I believe there's a little, there is a tiny bit of strategy with which plantation things come out, whether you're getting the corn or the rice or the wheat or whatever. But other than that, that's the closest that I'm going to go there. Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.